played before in Poland?
In Poland, quite sometimes already. So I would say 10 something. So over all this last 15 years or last 12 years, I was quite some time in Szczecin and Warsaw and Krakow and different.
Do you have any memories about one particular party that was the party that you remember so well, and the party that you think if Poland would be like this every time, it would be awesome?
Well, the first time I was in Szczecin, actually, I really enjoyed it because it was also one of my first gigs outside of Germany, which you can imagine also gives me some high blood pressure, and adrenaline was kicking in, and it was very well received, and therefore I really liked it. And I already felt that there was, even back then, there was a crazy energy in the place, yeah. And it's not just because of vodka.
Really? Do you know any Polish producers now? I think you
Cats,
probably
dogs,
Cats and Dogs, of course, because it's Czechia. So but do you know anyone?
No, not so much.
For me, it's quite interesting because if you look at your career, it's more like being a DJ. You do your reworks and edits, but it's mostly being a DJ.
Yeah.
And do you think there's a lot of room in these days? There's a future for DJs?
DJs. Well, I think in times where everything sounds the same, it's always important that you stand out and have your own sound. And I pretty much think that you can only achieve that if you really dig deep into it. And if you're just a producer that sometimes also plays records or USB sticks or a computer or whatever you play, then probably it becomes just an outlet of a producer. And I was just last week I was in Los Angeles and I was in Harvey's Sarcastic Disco Night, and it was the first time in a long time that I was dancing for 3.5, 4 hours. And I pretty much think he's also DJ's DJ.
Yeah.
So yes, I think there's a space for that, but it's a long way to achieve that.
So how many years you were DJing before you get the first gig, outside of your country? Someone appreciates you
outside my country, maybe 8 years or something.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 or 4 years where you're DJing without actually DJing, without having gigs.
Yeah.
Then there's this 2 or 3 years where you play in these bars and in these little clubs and bigger clubs, and then maybe outside the city, and then you have the breakthrough. And maybe it lasts only for 2 years. You never know.
So you're the lucky one, aren't you?
So far I am.
Did you ever think, because you do your edits of tracks, a lot of people, for me it's quite interesting that people like Disclosure ask you for doing a rework, because they're young, the new guys, and they still know who Dixon is. So have you ever think to start to produce on your own?
Yes, millions of time already, and there's quite some stuff on my table, and there will be time to release it. And I think 2030 might be the time we're doing this. I mean, I'm just in the last 3 weeks I did 3 remixes. I don't know why. I'm pretty creative at this very moment, which is not the normal case for me. And I have the feeling right now that I really enjoy studio work. So I guess that in 2013 I'm getting deeper into it again. And beside that, I tend to look at this as really my play field. And if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. I don't force myself to release something to then get DJ gigs or whatsoever. For me, it's more like I have my DJ career and I'm very happy with this. And if I have to say something, I do it in a studio. I mean, But very often I have all the super talented people around me that I think are amazingly good, and I'm looking at the stuff that I'm doing thinking it's good, but the world really needs that? So also very often stuff that is released from me is tracks that I'm playing for quite a long time already, and then the original artist asked me to do this, you know. So it's not like that. Yeah, I'm producing this now to release it. I also think that I want to keep it a little bit in the way that you should not expect a master plan behind it, you know. You have this typical careers, like there's 3 singles a year, and then there's every second year there's an album, and I know a lot of that I think very talented people that put themselves under a certain pressure to fulfill this expectations, and therefore they're releasing stuff that I think should just stay home, you know, and you can maybe play it out maybe, but it's no need to release it. Yeah, but this times we're living in, you know.
Yeah. So I guess you see that like the amount of music that is released now and like the quality of it is going down.
I don't think the quality is going down. I just think that the amount of stuff is so big that you really have to get your way through it, you know, and you really have to dig for good stuff. It's there. You have to find it, you know. But yeah, you have to find it. And I think that the people have always this expectation today that because it is available online, it means it comes to you, you know. And it's not like this. If you want to find good stuff, you have to look left and right, you know. And you should not trust your own people, you know. We are all living in little bubbles, and like we all have, I don't know, our Facebook friends, and if they recommend something, you like it too. But yeah, that's because all your Facebook friends have the same taste as you know. So if you want to find something special, you have to look somewhere else. And a lot of people don't do this anymore. So therefore they think there's nothing out there, but it is actually. There's good stuff there.
So did you find something special lately?
Yeah, I just heard one at a new Joy Orbison actually.
Really?
That I really, really liked, yes.
Did you hear his podcast for an advisor?
I didn't hear it yet, no. But I heard today on the table that it was actually good.
Yeah, it's quite good, I think so. So if you could like name the thing that you're most proud of in your career, like, I don't know, finding someone who's a great producer or doing something that no one did before. Could you name
I don't know
it, or is it more like...
I don't know if I ever did something that no one did before. I actually, I would say I'm proud of having such a long-term career, because I know a lot of people around me that had like this 2 or 3 years and then they disappeared, which I think is very often a shame, but it happens. I'm very happy, maybe not proud, but happy that I met up with the ARM guys from my label, and I helped them in the beginning to really get their thing going, because I think they're really amazing producers, and I'm very, very happy that I'm friends with them and that we are running a great label. And let's say I'm actually proud that I have the feeling, at least, that I don't need to make too much adjustments to my own style to be in that game. I pretty much have the feeling I'm independent and I can do what I really want to do. It's like, it's always like, it sounds easier or straighter than it really is. Of course, every DJ, every person does some adjustments, but I pretty much think that what I'm doing is really what I want to do by heart. You know?
I got one. Maybe it's probably the most popular question that people ask you, but it's like really interesting how much like the Germany, like how much German scene like what's the magic of German scene? You know what I mean? Because like in Poland we like to think that Warsaw is a little like small Berlin. We like to think that.
Yeah.
It's not really true, but we like to think that we are close to Berlin because of communism and everything what happened to East and West Germany.
Yeah.
So how the whole political situation influenced like your life, and did it change anything for you?
well, it changed a lot. I'm coming from the east side, and when I started to think in politics, all that happened, you know. So it really came at this very moment when I was growing up and starting to realize stuff. Then the wall came down. So I definitely, well, maybe I would be in Poland if the wall. I think they're calling me to come to the gig. Yeah? You see, that's the number, yeah. Should I rephrase that? Yeah. Okay, so when I was 14, the wall came down, and it was exactly the moment when I was growing up and I was thinking politics, and I realized how lucky I am to really experience that now, exactly that age, because that is the time when you start to dream your dreams, you know. And I certainly had the feeling that, well, I maybe don't need to dream only, I can actually fulfill them. Plus, I was living in the city, which is the very extreme of the clash of two different government systems. And now it was all coming down to this strange moment in the end of the 80s, early 90s, where it felt like everything was possible because there was so much space in that city. And I very much think that I have to correct you. I don't think it's a German scene. I think it's a Berlin scene that is so different. Go to Hamburg, and even if it's a beautiful city and they have a nice scene, it's a scene like everywhere else. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes scenes are good, sometimes bad, but you know they are similar. And Berlin is for me very different. It's just a thing on its own. You know,
the only city that was like broke down in the middle. There were countries like that, maybe tore up apart, but the only city that there were like it.
Because the wall came down, we had in the middle of the city space that you could occupy and that you could play around with, and there was so many. I opened a bakery just because it was possible. I opened a bakery. You know, I had no clue. But because the rents were cheap and we had the idea that it's going to be amazing, we just could try it, you know. And this is a situation where you don't have in other Western capitalism cities like London or Paris. Whatever you do, it's connected to a lot of money. And if you do a certain step, you have to be sure, I really, really want to go that direction. And in Berlin, you have so many people that thinking they maybe try this or that or this, you know. And after 1 year or maybe 6 months, they realize, well, wait a minute, it's not actually me. And they stop it and do the next, you know. But they never ruin their life with that. And this certain freedom that you have there is uncomparable to other situations. So I think that's why Berlin is so special.